All right, Nick, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this is a very exciting team. Off to a really hot start. Everyone's starting to talk about this team, but I think there's one move early on that isn't really even player based. The Bucs made one decision that really has projected them into the spot they are now. I'm Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. Nick, as we alluded to, the Bucs made a really smart decision this offseason when former offensive coordinator David Canales left to go be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Then we see the search. They went through a bunch of different names and ended up landing on old Kentucky coach Liam Cohen, bringing him in, getting him in the fold. Seems like it's paying off really well so far. Let's get into the article and we can talk more about it on the other side. This, of course, is from Pewter Plank. There was many speculation as to how the Bucs offense would adjust to former offensive coordinator Dave Canales leaving for the Panthers head coaching job. They interviewed a plethora of candidates for the position, including Thad Lewis, Jake Peets, Antoine Randall L., Alex Van Pelt, Gerard Johnson, and Brian Johnson. They eventually concluded that Liam Cohen would be their play caller for the 2024 season. Cohen hailed from the University of Kentucky as their offensive coordinator in 21 and 2023. He spent 2022 with the Los Angeles Rams in the same position. Through 2 weeks, Cohen has the Bucs rolling in terms of passing. They're 11th in yards at 474, tied for first in touchdowns at 5, second in yards per pass attempt at 9.7, the first in first down percentage at 49%. One key area Cohen is thriving in is getting his star players the ball. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both have 2 touchdowns and really put an emphasis on pushing the ball down the field. It's early, but Cohen hiring is already paying off. I think that's kind of an understatement. I think this was a slam dunk move for the Bucs. I am really excited to see how this progresses down the season. I'm curious what your thoughts are, though, Nick. But before we get to you, Bucs fans, in the comment section below, big game Broncos, kind of a wild card. I don't think they're necessarily that great, especially after you beat a really good team in the Detroit Lions. It shouldn't be too hard, but let us know in the comment section below, what are you thinking the final score for the Bucs versus Broncos game will be in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what do you think about this move for the Bucs?
Yeah, it looks like the Buccaneers have done something incredible right here. And every time we see this, usually every year or so, whenever a team loses a young, talented coordinator and they go on and become a head coach, there's always a natural regression, or I should say there almost always is a natural regression, right? It makes sense. You got a really talented coach. He leaves. You usually don't replace him with a guy that's as good or better. You look at the NFL is full of these rules, right? You look at the Baltimore Ravens defensively. They lose their defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald. He goes to the Seattle Seahawks. The defense off to a slow start this year. The Cincinnati Bengals lose their offensive coordinator, Callahan. He's over with the Tennessee Titans. Their offense so far for the Bengals looks really, really poor compared to what it's been in prior years, even with Joe Burrow returning. How about 2 years ago? The Philadelphia Eagles dominate the entire NFL regular season, go all the way to the Super Bowl. They lose both their coordinators to head coaching opportunities. And then last season, they completely regress, fall apart at the end. And so far this year, they look about average so far. This is just the story of the National Football League. You lose young, talented coaches, you get worse. That's just the way it is. The one exception has been the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the hiring of Liam Cohen. I think they've been even better this year because when you look at the people they're outperforming, it's really incredible. Because if you look at the Buccaneers rankings in terms of offense, according to PFF, they sit there right at 13th right now. But if you look at the teams they're doing better than, you look at the Ravens, you look at the Lions, you look at the Dolphins pre-Tua injury. You look at the Dallas Cowboys, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Los Angeles Rams with Matthew Stafford, right? They are better than a lot of really, really good offenses in terms of the analytics, again, according to PFF. To me, that shows they 100% made an absolutely perfect move with the hiring of Cohen. And it is one of those things when you bring in a new coach, I always expect there to be a learning curve. I expect there to be a period of a couple rough games, maybe sometimes even a rough season, it feels like, before your team figures it out. The Buccaneers, once again, doing the incredible here. They've had the opposite effect. They're getting off to a strong start with some decent competition. Look, I know Washington's not great, but Dan Quinn, their new head coach, he's a really good defensive mind. The Buccaneers absolutely eviscerated them. And of course, beating one of the best teams in football, the Detroit Lions, the way they did that, I think, again, an incredible coaching job by Liam Cohen and his entire offensive staff. This Bucs team, a lot of energy, a lot of momentum behind them. People are really excited about Baker Mayfield. The defense looks better. Young offensive lineman like Graham Barton off to strong starts. But I think the offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, he's kind of the under the radar headline that no one's paying attention to. And it was a great move by the Bucs to bring him into the fold.
Yeah, and again, another part of the article, they're talking about getting the ball in the hands of their playmakers. They've been doing a really good job on that. And, it is really early, but this is kind of an example just to show how well this has been going, what Liam Combs able to do. You look at Chris Godwin going back to the slot. He's been very, very successful. Has 200 yards through 2 weeks, and he's technically on pace to break Mike Evans' record for most receiving yards in season. We see 17 games on pace for 1,700 yards. Mike Evans, record 1,524 yards. It is possible theoretically, but that's the point. Godwin is getting fed after there's questions at one point in time. Did he fall off? Is he getting a little bit up there? Is this a guy that can come back and break out and be a star? We get to see the resurgence of Godwin come out in the slot back to where he's normally is, back to where he's the most comfortable playing. We're seeing really great results too far. 200 yards through 2 games is absolutely phenomenal, especially with Mike Evans on the other side of that as well. I think Cohen has done a phenomenal job getting this team off to a hot start, and I'm curious to see how they finish out down the stretch.
And, I think the most important thing to me when we're talking offensive coordinator, when we're talking play caller, it has to be the relationship and the dynamic with the quarterback. We all understand that. And Baker Mayfield off to an incredible start. Again, averaging 9.7 yards per attempt. That's scary high, essentially 10 yards per attempt, while also completing 74% of his passes. Again, scary high. A lot of that is on Mayfield playing well. A lot of that is the talent around him. But a huge chunk of that is, of course, the offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen. Buccaneers did an incredible job replacing Canales, and I really expect them to continue this momentum the rest of the season.